I'm disclosing that I have information about interference in my efforts at participation in the electoral and other kinds of political process going all the way back to at least that I can verify 2010. On March 24th of 2010, the city of Chicago passed a report that was a long-term assessment of the municipal pension system. My understanding is that is also the time frame during which the Affordable Care Act had been passed and was set for implementation. And on that day, in another city in California, I went to the psychiatric emergency services at the local public hospital and tried to discuss with someone how I understood I was being besought by vibrational technologies that were attempting to try to get me to cooperate with illegal activity. Despite what I understood what was happening, I was told by someone who identified themselves as a qualified medical professional that I actually had a mental illness and that I needed treatment and medication as part of the response. I did not know about the overhaul to the pension system in Chicago, where I had been up until 3 months previously. And I did not know that the primary financial entity, or rather auditing firm involved, was Deloitte and Touche. As a matter of fact, I did not know too much about them at all until more recently, and the last 3 to 4 years, I had been attempting to investigate what I identified as a pattern of racketeering activity responsible for acts of trafficking people through the health and human services system. Now, this criminal conspiracy is very significant. But what I started understanding several years ago is that there was a point at which very high stakes, high level terminating hedges ended up getting called that literally led to the death of somebody. These deaths could have been prevented, and most of the times these deaths occurred under the auspices that it was some sort of medical malady. A primary type of medical malady was either some form of heart attack, or it had something to do with a brain problem, a tumor that would require several months of treatment while the terminal condition slowly killed the person. I understand these are premeditated options for acts of murder. Now, the question of whether or not these people, most of whom that I was able to track, were either elected to office or appointed and confirmed before the Senate and the Congress, whether these people knew in advance that they were signing up for a situation wherein their very life could be put into somebody else's financial prioritization in such a manner as to potentially result in their deaths when a particular hedge became available. This is how I understand it. But I personally think it should be illegal, and I think that it is absolutely criminal, and it should be prosecuted as a crime. It does not matter if people think they have the cover of some sort of intelligence role or even the military behind them. There are executive orders as well as other laws that have been enforced and backed by Congress in the United States that make assassination of political opponents or political heads of state or members of political office abroad illegal. Even the President of the United States is not authorized to call for the assassination of a member of political office in a foreign country, much less his or her own. Now, at some point, beginning of this year, 2000, I was reviewing campaign finance disclosures for the 2019 campaign season, and I found what I understood to be precisely the kind of hedging strategy necessary in order to rotate campaign donations to various people so as to allow for a kind of risk hedging that can result in what I call a terminating hedge. And not only that, by virtue of the fact that these particular donors, but this specific donor, has international reach and is involved in national industries as well as financing or financial accounting for national entities in countries all over the world. I believe that they use their domestic campaign hedging strategy to manipulate the electoral process in other countries and that they're not alone. There are at least three major investment firms that I've been tracking for the last 2 years that I believe overtly engage in illegal activities in order to preference political candidates over another, despite whatever they do as part of their campaigning, and despite actually whatever kind of rapport they could otherwise develop with their colleagues within the same party or even political opposition who may or may not agree with them on certain issues and may disagree with them on others, but may want to consider having a political relationship with them despite whatever else the results of the election would be. Not only that, but if and when you get elected, then you're going to have to deal with the rest of the people in your country that were also elected, including if they were subjected to the same kind of electoral process. Now, my understanding is that part of this involved the political assassination of somebody who recommended legislation around reformation of the actual electoral process in the United States. And he was specifically assassinated because of that. They liked his benchmarks, but they didn't like his way of wanting to do it, which is why they never passed the law. This is something that happens all too frequently, and I believe is unacceptable. I think this year is the last year that this strategy is even going to be possible. But insofar as there are those who believe that they're still going to be able to avail themselves of the benefits of it, then we must beware. It's right there if you know how to look, even in what they're only reporting publicly. I'm not playing along, and I don't support anyone who does. I honestly believe that if you are involved in auditing a federal agency, then you should be precluded from being able to contribute to the political candidates for office. If you are auditing an agency of a federal government, regardless of the country involved, you should be prevented from being able to contribute to their campaigns for office. Insofar as this particular major campaign contributor has also availed themselves of the benefits of others, expropriating my personal and political capital for their own gain, including people they've financed in the past and continue to finance either through party affiliation or through private activities after office. I'm just letting you know I don't approve, and I would appreciate it if in the meantime you ceased and desisted from interfering in my campaign. Thank you very much. Have a good day.